This is the new Renault 4. Today I'll be testing range and consumption, the cabin noise and also the charging. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let us start with the basics.
It's only electric.
It is a compact crossover measuring 4.14 meters in length with a wheelbase of 2.6 meters. It weighs 1.5 tons. It's built on the AMP-R small platform and that's shared with the Renault 5 and also the Nissan Micra. It's front-wheel drive with a single synchronous motor delivering 110 kilowatts or 150 horsepower with 245 newton-meters of torque. 0 to 100 in 8.5 seconds with a top speed of 150 kilometers per hour. Built on a 400 volt architecture, it should be able to charge from 15 to 80% in 30 minutes with a top speed of 100 kilowatts. When it comes to AC charging, it charges 11 kilowatts. Let's see about the charging speed later in this video. The battery pack has a gross capacity of 55 kilowatt hours and a net capacity of 52. Its stated WLTP are 396 kilometers. It drives on these great looking 18-inch wheels with Michelin E Primacy tires and they measure 195/60 at the front and at the back. Let's drive. Time for the range and consumption test. It's the same road, same stretch every time. It's a fixed route of 80 kilometers with varied speeds between 50 all the way up to 110 kilometers per hour. The average speed should be 93 kilometers per hour for the whole stretch. We have a couple of set rules and the first one is we always stick to the speed limit. The second one is we drive the car in eco mode and I'm doing that. And the third one is to put the AC on 20 degrees and eco if available, and I've done that also. I've just passed 24 kilometers and the average consumption right now is 16.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Seems fairly decent. I already drove the Renault 5 and it's more or less the same car. This is a little bit more high-rising, a little bit longer, just a touch bit heavier, but it should be similar figures to that one. It's more dependent on the road conditions. So today it's 12 degrees outside, cloudy. So decent conditions, but not optimal. But let's see what happens. I will talk about some thoughts and personal opinions about the Renault 4 E-Tech, the Iconic to be specific, as this one is. But there will also be a full review with all the details. It's linked up here. Check that one out to get a more in-depth review of the car and know all its quirks and features. Overall, I really like the suspension of the Renault 4, same as the Renault 5. It's not too soft, it's not too sporty, but it's really fun to hoon it around and drive a little bit fast in the curves and so on. So really nice, small and nippy. There's some strange noise from the back when you go over curbs and so on, like when the both wheels move at the same time. It has a jolting movement and makes pretty bad noise, but that's the only time it does it. I've driven it on some gravel roads, some really bad conditions, and it handled really nicely. But just when it's like straight lines, pretty harsh movement. So let's see, it's on lane assist. I don't think it will handle this curve. Oh, okay. And 70 without, okay, no, it's, okay. Don't trust the lane keep assist or active steering. Let's see again. It needs to slow down. No, it doesn't. Okay, a car again. I'm not trusting it 100%, but on motorway it works great, but not here. Let's try the last one. Okay, now it's slowing down actually. So now it's going down to 60. 55, let's see, keep hands on wheel. And no, it just drops it. Okay, this is one of the worst ones so far. It did slow down, but it's like almost not trying. Pretty interesting. So always keep your hands on the steering wheel. So I've just passed 40 kilometers and the average consumption right now is 15.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Fairly decent, not the best. And this synchronous motor at the front is not the most efficient motor. I wish they had a permanent magnet synchronous motor at the back, like the APP 550 from the Volkswagen group. That's really efficient. But then you have rare earth metals. This motor doesn't have it, so that's a pro. It's more environmentally friendly, and it's produced in Europe, and you're not reliant on other like Chinese vendors and so on. So I understand the concept, but we can always wish for a higher efficiency. But let's see, maybe they have done some wonders with the Renault 4 compared to Renault 5. So when it comes to the speed limit warning system, let's just speed up a couple of kilometers. It's beeping right now. So you just press a button far left behind the steering wheel. Just press that 2 times and you go into personal mode. And when you go into personal mode, you have your own settings that you save beforehand. But you can go into the car, go into driving assistance, and here you have all on. Now everything is on and the button is orange. Otherwise you can go into personal, and here you can go and configure my safety personal settings. You have always speed audible warning, the speed limit warning system, limitation change sound when the speed limit changes, lane departure prevention, dash line intervention, and so on. And you can also turn off the traction control and things like that. So pretty nice. I wish there was one more setting for if you're driving on different kind of roads, say small back roads, and then you don't want lane keep assist because it doesn't work always. When it comes to this steering wheel, I really like the looks of the steering wheel. It feels great, this leatherette or leather. It's pretty hard but sporty. It looks great with this metallic finish. Piano black is not optimal. Renault really loves buttons. It's buttons and stalks everywhere, and I have talked about this before. I have mixed feelings of it because it can get a little bit complicated. Let's just put on the adaptive cruise control. On the left side you have the blinker stalk, the light stalk. In front of that you have a pedal shifter, one to the left and one to the right, so you have region steps, like 4 different steps. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is one pedal driving, so max regen, and it's really strong. I like it. On the left side you have set, so set the speed up and down. You have this circle with 4 arrows, and this is match the speed. So if the speed changes on the road from 90 to 100 or 110, just press that and the car will adapt to the speed. So a really nice button. To the right of that you have the mode button, and here you can toggle between adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist and active steering, or just a regular adaptive cruise control, or speed limiter, you limit the speed, or just off, so you don't have anything on the screen. Underneath that, to the left, you have a reset button, so you reset your adaptive cruise control and so on. To the right of that, 0, you turn it off, you cancel it, and in the middle of that one you have the distance between the cars in front. So you have 4 different steps, far and closer and closer. So easy to use, a lot of buttons, but it's easy. On the right side you have telephone, so answer and cancel the call. To the right of that you have voice assistant. Left bottom is a favorite button, and here you can map some different things like heated seats for the front. You also have this screens, you can change between different fonts and different looks of the screen, and Renault has done a really good implementation of how everything looks and feels, and the graphics is a lot, but I like it actually. To the right of that you have up and down, and here you toggle between the screens on the right side of the menus. So you have consumption, you have your distance, you have your range, and so on. So pretty easy. And also your eco monitor, I actually like this. It says how economical you're driving. And lastly you have this multi-sense button at the bottom, and here you change between eco, comfort, sport and perso, so your personal settings for your drive mode. And that's it for the steering wheel. But behind this you have 3 stalks instead of 1. So the first one in the upper corner is the drive selector, so you have reverse, neutral and drive. Underneath that you have your windshield wipers. Underneath that you have this boxy shape, and this is only for your multimedia controls. So you have changing music, volume, muting, and some modes and so on. So changing between sources. I don't like the look of it. It looks really complicated. And every time I sit in a Renault, I need to think on how to steer everything. But now after driving it for a week, it's actually really easy. I understand why they do it, but it looks more complicated than it is. You get used to it. but I think they could implement this in a more neater way and make it a little bit more easier. So it is equipped with lane keep assist and also active steering, but it doesn't change your lanes for you. But this lane keep assist actually works really great on motorways. It's not the best on smaller roads, but on the motorway it's so relaxed and it works really great. It just helps you can still correct it and it works great. It doesn't like engage in an aggressive manner. It lets you keep a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. It's not bothering me how I'm holding the steering wheel. Like if you don't hold it, it will complain, but you can hold it however you want. Just put a little bit pressure and it doesn't bother me at all. So better than many other cars, especially a lot better than the Volkswagen that really likes to complain a lot. So Renault is one step further ahead if you ask me when it comes to nagging about holding the steering wheel. It is time to summarize the range and consumption test. It was 12 degrees outside and dry roads, so decent conditions but not optimal. We're driving on 18-inch wheels, so the biggest wheels, but there's still 60 rubber, so pretty big profile. And the final consumption landed on 16.1 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers, and that's a real world range of 323 kilometers or 82% of the stated WLTP. And this is actually pretty disappointing. 16.1 is a high consumption. For example, a Tesla Model Y Performance, the new one, is 15. So 16 against 15 maybe is not that much, but that's 460 horsepower compared to 150. You have 21-inch wheels instead of 18. You have a lot bigger car. It could be a lot more efficient. I did also do a high-speed range test, so 120 kilometers per hour GPS speed or 123 kilometers per hour indicated in the instrument cluster. And it was 7 degrees outside, and I was driving the car in comfort mode and not eco mode because you cannot drive above 115 in eco mode. But I put the AC in 20 degrees and eco at least. The average consumption landed on 24.4 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers, and that's a real-world range of 213 kilometers if you drive it constant 120 kilometers per hour. And still not optimal, not the best efficiency, but it is a small car. It's more of a city stroller or a perfect for suburbs and smaller roads. Next up is the cabin noise test. We always measure the cabin noise on the same road, same stretch. We put the microphone in head height on the passenger side. We measured 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. The Renault 4 is actually really quiet. It's probably the quietest car in its segment. Renault 5 was also really quiet, but Renault 4 is even quieter, especially at higher speeds. The average cabin noise was 60.25 decibels. That's a really respectable result, and that puts it on par with the Polestar 4, the Volkswagen ID.7, so a lot bigger cars and a lot more expensive cars. Of course, it's not the most quiet car, but those cars above it are a lot more expensive and bigger and more premium cars. So great work from Renault, and a quiet cabin doesn't need to be a premium or expensive car. At least Renault shows this to us. To the last topic, and this is charging. You preheat the battery by navigating to a charger with the built-in Google navigation, but you can't preheat it manually. I wish Renault learned from the Volkswagen group, like the Skodas and so on, that you have a manual preheating, and the car will say that it's preheating the battery, how long it will take, and what is the maximum speed right now. That will help a lot. But I navigated to the charger and it worked great this time. So I plugged it in and charged it from 10 to 80%, and it took 30 minutes and 23 seconds. And I really like that Renault doesn't oversell the cars. So they are stating 15 to 80% in 30 minutes, but we charge it from 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. So 5% extra on the same time. So that's actually great that they don't overspec the car or oversell them. But still, 30 minutes is not great. It's a decent result. I'm wishing for 25 minutes now in 2025. Like the Volkswagen Group's new cars, the Chinese cars are a lot faster. New Mercedes, new BMWs, 22 minutes and so on. So I think 25 minutes is the new standard of good charging. But 30 minutes is not bad, and I know this is a small, more city stroller car, and probably most of the people will charge it at home, so it doesn't matter at all. The peak speed I saw was 101 kilowatts at 18%, and that's right on spec. Let me summarize Renault 4, my thoughts and my feelings of it. To start with, Renault 4 E-Tech starts at 385,000 crowns or 35,000 euros, and that's for the base model with a smaller battery, so 40 kilowatt hours instead of the 52, and also a smaller motor and less equipment. This one, the Renault 4 E-Tech Iconic, the fully equipped one, starts at 472,000 crowns or 43,000 euros, but this is actually fully equipped, so you cannot add anything extra, at least not here in Sweden. So all the color options, everything is included, at least when I'm recording this video. It comes with a Harman Kardon sound system, and that's a worth upgrade if you like music, because the regular system, at least in the Renault 5, probably the same in the Renault 4, not good at all if you ask me. This one is a premium sound system, and it's worth the upgrade. I like it. It's not one of the best systems, of course. It's a cheaper car. Great bass, decent mids, decent highs. You cannot crank up the volume that high because the sound breaks. Especially you can feel the doors leaking and vibrating and so on. But at low and medium and a little bit higher volumes, it's great. So a worth upgrade if you ask me. And yeah, some really nice materials for the steering wheel. The seats feels great. I wished I can raise them a little bit more at the front and so on, but looks really good, and they feel really good, sporty and nice. You have this different materials. I like those also. Some soft touch on the door, also on the mid console. Problem is I'm pretty tall, 186 or 6'1", so my elbows comes in the corner where it's hard plastics, where you have a lot of hard plastics in many ways, and it's a cheaper car, but 470,000 or 43,000 euros is not that cheap anymore. But this is the state of the car market everywhere, so no cheap cars anymore. But otherwise, like the leatherette and so on, it's really nice. I really like the suspension. It's pretty comfortable, not too soft but not too harsh. You can still drive it sporty, and it's fun to drive it a little bit faster in corners and take exits and so on. But just yesterday I was driving at a highway or a motorway, and the road was pretty bad. It was like small jumps, like every meter, and then the car actually felt horrible. It was really jumping around. It was really harsh. I don't know, it's because of the shorter wheelbase probably, but otherwise it has been really nice. If there's some things I wished for was a lower price. If this car was even cheaper, I wouldn't complain about anything. But charging 30 minutes is not that great. Efficiency is worse than many cars. I know that Renault has this philosophy to build the cars in Europe with no rare earth metals and so on, but I don't know, maybe they can find some efficiency gains somewhere in the chip or aerodynamics or something. But overall, I would say the Renault 4 is a really great car, probably a better package than the Renault 5, even though the Renault 5 is a lot cooler if you ask me with the design. And speaking of the design, I really like this way Renault is going back to the roots. Like, this is a new cool looking car, but you can really see the DNA from the old Renault 4. Same with the Renault 5. I really like the hints from the old cars. What do you think? Would you go for Renault 4, built in Europe in the electric city in France, with no rare earth metals in the motor? Or would you go for a Citroën EC3 or maybe a Volvo EX30 or a Zeekr X? Comment down below, let's have a discussion. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, hype it and share it to your friends and family. And if you like our channel, please consider subscribing and maybe even becoming a member if you want to support us even more. It greatly helps us. Comment down below, let's have a discussion. Thank you for watching, and as we always say, stay electric.